Here are 27 tips for the newly buffed Fuse in Apex Legends. Fuse is a lot stronger than people think right now. With a new Knuckle Jumper perk, he actually plays way more like a movement legend than he used to. So don't be surprised if a lot of these tips revolve around that perk. It's kind of the core of his new playstyle, so let's dive in. Tip 1. You can use the new Knuckle Jumper perk to avoid taking self-damage from your own grenades. If you time it properly, you throw your nade and launch yourself right as it explodes. The enemy eats the damage, and you're already in the air repositioning. It turns what used to be a risky close-range explosive play into something you can confidently take more often. Tip 2. Your tactical is really strong for creating space. If someone has you pinned down, shoot the Knuckle Cluster at them first instead of wide swinging immediately. Most players instinctively move when they see it land because they don't want to tank the damage. That small distraction window gives you just enough time to reposition or fully reset the fight. Tip 3. Instead of always throwing grenades to deal direct damage, you can use them to control attention. Throw one somewhere obvious and force the enemy to respect it, even if it's not guaranteed damage. When they move, guide them into a position you're already holding or pre-aiming. Fuse becomes way stronger when you think about manipulating movement instead of just doing damage. Tip 4. Every time you crack someone's shield, you always get a speed boost. Most players just take that as a bonus, but you can actually plan around that. If you pair that boost with a super glide, you can reposition instantly after a crack and then catch them off guard. Once you start doing it intentionally, it feels extremely fluid and controlled. Tip 5. You can use Knuckle Jumper to escape bad positions, but you can also heal while launching yourself. That means you're not just disengaging, you're actively resetting mid-fight. It gives you space while still progressing your health back up. It's like Octane. In chaotic fights, that small difference in movement is huge. Tip 6. Prioritize healing over reloading. Fuse automatically reloads stowed weapons in 2 seconds, which a lot of players forget. So if things get messy, swap weapons and start healing immediately instead of panic reloading. By the time you re-engage, your gun is already ready to go. Tip 7. Don't ignore weapon supply bins. They consistently give you attachments that make your next fight easier. Fuse benefits a lot from strong mid-range weapons that can capitalize on explosive pressure. Going to fights fully set up makes your ult and tactical even more threatening. Tip 8. The level 2 perk Pyro Techniques upgrade sounds good, but it's honestly not that strong compared to Knuckle Jumper. It feels like a weaker version of his old ultimate, and it honestly doesn't change how you approach fights. Knuckle Jumper, on the other hand, completely changes your mobility and tempo. That's why it's always the better pick. Tip 9. The level 3 perk Reignition charges your ultimate really fast whenever you deal explosive damage. That includes grenades and knuckle clusters. That means if multiple enemies are taking damage at once, your ult cooldown drops extremely quickly. In extended fights, it can feel like you always have it available. Tip 10. If you carry a shotgun, you basically get insane backpack value. You get more ammo per stack as an assault legend, and Fuse carries 2 grenades per slot. Shotgun ammo barely takes any space, so your inventory stays open for utility. That means more nades, more pressure, and more fight control. Tip 11. Use your tactical and long-range fights to apply pressure. Even if you're not expecting huge damage, the visual and audio cue alone forces enemies to move. Most players don't want to sit in a knuckle cluster, so they'll reposition instinctively. That movement can break their angle and give you a better swing. Tip 12. You can use Knuckle Jumper to create distance when someone is chasing you. Instead of just running on foot, launch yourself and immediately take a new angle. While they're still sprinting to catch up, you can already be pre-aiming where they're about to appear. It turns a defensive escape into a setup for free damage. Tip 13. Every time you use Knuckle Jumper, it reduces the cooldown of your tactical. That means the more aggressively and confidently you use it, the more often you get it back. In longer fights, this adds up fast. It's part of why the perk feels so strong once you start leaning into it. Tip 14. Use your tactical to block off one angle and then push the opposite side. When enemies see the cluster land, they usually move away from it immediately. That movement is predictable and very easy to read. If you're already ready to swing the safe side, you can catch them mid-rotation. Tip 15. With the level 3 perk Reignition, your ultimate can recharge itself through its own damage. If multiple enemies are stuck inside and take explosive ticks, your ult cooldown drops very quickly. That means in the right scenario, you can chain ults much faster than normal. In coordinated fights, this can completely overwhelm teams. Tip 16. If an enemy is really low, don't hesitate to finish them with your tactical. The Knuckle Cluster sticks to players once it connects. That makes it very hard for them to simply run away and reset behind cover. It's a reliable cleanup tool when someone is trying to escape. Tip 17. Use your ultimate together with your tactical to fully box enemies in. Throw your ult to control the large area, then place clusters in the exact spots they're forced to move through. Instead of random explosions, you're narrowing their options. That layered pressure makes fights feel very controlled. Tip 18. Don't forget that Fuse throws grenades faster and more accurately as a passive. In close range fights, that speed difference actually matters more than you think. You can get explosives out before enemies can even expect it. That split-second advantage can decide a trade. Tip 19. Your tactical does massively increase damage to the new hardlight windows. That makes you especially strong against defensive setups this season. Instead of slowly chipping through cover, you can break it quickly and force them to reposition. It turns you into direct counter in those situations. Tip 20. Knuckle Jumper lets you gain instant height. You can contest high ground much faster than most players expect from Fuse. And even if you don't stay up there, the sudden elevation changes the fight dynamic. Height control alone can swing an engagement. Tip 21. Your ultimate isn't really meant to secure kills on its own. It's better used to force enemies out of position. When they start running to avoid the ring, that's when you beam them. Think of it as a positioning tool, not just damage. Tip 22. You can use Knuckle Jumper aggressively to launch forward for surprise pushes. Most players don't expect Fuse to suddenly close a distance like that. The unpredictability can catch people mid-heal or mid-reload. It adds a layer of pressure that they're not prepared for. Tip 23. With Knuckle Jumper, Fuse has surprisingly strong height control. He can take height, but then also drop it and then retake it quickly. That flexibility is very similar to Valkyrie and lets you play dynamically instead of committing to one position. It makes him feel much more versatile than older versions. Tip 24. If you slide into Knuckle Jumper and delay your jump slightly, you won't get as much height. Instead, you'll get a faster and flatter forward launch. That's really useful for quick rotations and closing shorter gaps. It's a small adjustment that changes how the movement feels. Tip 25. Your ultimate now has gravity interaction. You can throw it into ceilings or walls so it drops into enemies unexpectedly. This is especially strong in outdoor fights where people aren't really looking up. Using vertical space like that makes your ult much harder to predict. Tip 26. During mid-fight chaos, you can use your new Knuckle Jumper perk to instantly break line of sight, launch, change your angle, and force enemies to readjust their aim. In that confusion, you can sometimes land an easy air shot or re-engage from a better position. Once you're comfortable doing this consistently, Fuse feels completely different. And finally, tip 27. Now, as fun as all these new changes are to Fuse, let's take a quick moment of silence for the old Motherload ultimate. You know, the thing that could actually kill people because it did real damage. RIP OG Fuse ult, you will be remembered. Oh wait, I'm still recording. Oh, my bad. Alright, back to the video, guys. But those are just 27 tips for Fuse. If you actually want to master Fuse and learn how to play him right, click on this complete guide where I updated it for Season 28 and I show you every part of his kit and how to maximize it to win your fights. This is the video you want to watch. I'll see you there.